Hello? Are you in there? It's me. I'm coming in. And no, you don't have to invite me. It's so dark in here. Are you okay? Hey, it's me. What happened here? What's wrong? Are you hurt? Calm down, it's alright. You're safe now. I'm here. It's okay. We're alone. Come on, stand up. Let's get you out of the floor. You can't be comfy down there. That's it. Have a seat here. Just breathe and relax. Can I get you anything? Okay, then please tell me what happened. Nightmares. Those must have been some pretty awful nightmares. Did you dream about Malachi again? No, okay. Do you want to talk about it? What are you dreaming about? It's okay, you can tell me. Don't be embarrassed. Sometimes it helps to talk about these things. Just by looking at the state of your apartment and the state of you, it must have been quite the dream. Oh, I see. It's me, isn't it? Or rather, what I am. You're dreaming about monsters, aren't you? You're afraid of me. It's okay. I understand. How about we go for a walk? It's a little cold out. You may want a jacket. Come on. I've always liked this park, but it's quiet out here. I guess everyone turned in for the night, except for those few night owls, or bats. A joke. Maybe a bad one, but those are the only ones I've really got. Am I too close to you? I want to keep as much distance as you're comfortable with. These dreams, they must be pretty bad. But your eyes, you haven't even been sleeping, have you? So when you finally do, you're only met with horrible images. I can't help but notice that you're looking around a lot too. I can only imagine how anxious you must feel. That's truly terrible, and I am sorry. If you'd like, I can get something from Mila. It'll make your sleep a dreamless one. No, I don't care about any more messages from Malachi. I'll get it for you. It's sort of like a tea. It'll help, trust me. We dream too, you know. Well, some of us, anyway. Unfortunately. We're all different, you see. Just like people, we have different talents, different abilities, Some of us are just trying to play the hand that we've been dealt. Some of us truly are the boogeymen the world thinks that we are. Which am I? I'll let you decide that on your own. I am sorry that this has happened to you. I have tried to remain distant from you, to let you carry on with your life and only call upon you when it's necessary. I thought that by doing so, I could give you some semblance of normalcy. I thought it would be easier and less painful. But I was wrong, and I am sorry. Truthfully, while I did not want to try and shake up your world too badly, I am also afraid. When you just knocked on my door and barged right in, I didn't know what to think. Then I heard the name Malachi pass your lips, and I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to believe it to be true. I wanted to leave Malachi where he was, in the past. I thought it was over. It had been 200 years. I was enjoying things again. I was enjoying life again, and I felt good. I watched soap operas, and I went to the movies and to jazz concerts, and I thought, well, it doesn't matter what I thought. But you came right on in, and with one word, you made me realize how fragile this happiness was. It shattered, and I was reminded that I would never be more than what I am. I would never be more than where I came from, and that's not your fault. I don't blame you. But I feel sorry, because it's not only my happiness that threatened to slip away, but it was yours too. And you're so innocent in all of this. I can accept my punishment, but it's so unfair to taint someone who has nothing to do with anything. But that is what Malachi always did best. I realize that by keeping my distance from you, I've left you with a heavy burden. You're trying to come to terms with the fact that the world is far different than you thought it was, and I've left you alone when you're trying to figure it out. I won't do that anymore. I promise it to you. And I'll begin my promise by telling you who I am, who Malachi is. But it's a long and rather painful story. Are you sure you want to hear it? Very well. Let's sit. I knew Malachi for a very long time. Our relationship was complicated. Rather, it became complicated after a while. Malachi was my maker. He turned me into the vampire that I am. Malachi was very old. He had lived a very long time, and he had lived alone. He had experienced everything that he thought he could. He had seen all the corners of the world, beautiful and desolate alike. For a time, it filled him, exploring, understanding, and learning all the ways of the world, all its beautiful and delicate intricacies. But still, there was a hole in his heart. He was a lonely man, and I was a lonely girl from a relatively small village, and I too had always felt a hole in my heart. I met Malachi in a church, as ironic as it is, because back then churches had all the good stuff: paintings, statues, architecture. The villages surrounding could be crumbling, and usually they were, but the churches always stood proud. Malachi was passing through when we crossed paths. We got to talking, and then we didn't stop. He told me of these grand adventures and these faraway places that I couldn't have even dreamed of. I asked him if I could come with him, and he told me no. And then he left, and I never expected to see him again. A few years later, a horrible disease ravished the countryside. People were dropping like flies. It was horrid. I lost everyone around me, and the sickness had already seeded itself inside of me. And I knew it was only a matter of time before it took me. I didn't want to die surrounded by death. So with everything that I had, I stumbled and I crawled all the way to the church. I didn't make it inside, but I made it to the garden, and that was good enough. I could pass among the flowers, who somehow were still blooming, even as the rest of the world decayed. The disease took its time to kill. It was very painful, and I still remember it. I don't know how long I laid there, but I remember seeing the stars peeking out, and then I heard a voice calling my name. It was faint, but it was familiar. It was Malachi. He turned me. One disease was replaced by another. I was like him, and it hurt even more than the plague. I remember the pain, the fire, the death. It took a long time to be able to come to terms with what had happened, with what I was. It was hard for me to get the urges under control. But with time and Malachi's care, I did. Malachi was a kind man. He told me that although we had the power to hurt, we didn't have to. We didn't have to kill or maim. Malachi had a philosophy of goodness, and he passed that on to me. And then he showed me amazing things, taught me amazing things. But eventually, he grew tired of that. He thought that he would feel more fulfilled if he had someone else to teach and show. But it didn't work like that. Desperate for anything to make him feel alive, Malachi turned from his own teachings. He grew dark and twisted. He slaughtered and he maimed. Experiences that were new to him. There was a whole other world for him to explore, but it was a nightmarish world. I couldn't be that way. I still clung to the humanity that I had and that he had taught me, but I watched him, the things he did. I couldn't stop him. He started finding humans, vile, murderous creatures, the worst that he could. And he turned them, and he let them run wild. He turned so many, and he demanded such horrible things from them, and they happily obliged. But me, he never made me partake. He left me alone to my paintings, to my music. Not that I could enjoy them anymore, when the screams from the dungeon screamed up the floors like hellish serenades. He said that I was his special one. I was his first, his love, his pure half. He said that all the humanity he had left, he left to live in me, and he abandoned his ways. I loved Malachi, but I could not live that way anymore, and so I left. But Malachi did not stop the carnage. Just the opposite, in fact. He couldn't be allowed to continue to run amok. There's a council of very old vampires who tend to our affairs. They deemed that Malachi was too much of a threat to our existence. Even the Nephilim are half-angels. Typically they stay out of the affairs of other supernatural beings, but even they decided it was time to intervene. And I agreed. Malachi was strong, he was old, and his offspring, my siblings, were as well. Malachi had honed them into vampiric weapons, perfect killing machines. I knew I was the only one who could get close to Malachi, so I did, and I killed him. And I knew that as his first, it was my responsibility to clean up his mess. My siblings scattered all over the world. There were so many of them. But I hunted them all down, one by one. And I killed them too. I am all that remains of Malachi's legacy. And that is probably a good thing. It took a long time to get over that. A long time to allow myself to be as normal as I could be. So, you see, when you came back and you said his name, I was so afraid. I couldn't face that again. I didn't want to, but It was naive to think that I could escape it, that I could escape him. He'll always be a part of me. Our fate will always be intertwined. I have made a lot of mistakes, but I will not make a mistake when it comes to you. I will protect you. With everything that I have, no one will touch you. I will keep you safe if you let me. It's okay to be scared. There's no shame in that. And if you're even more afraid of me now that you know the story, that's okay too. I deserve your fear and your hatred. I will never be anything more than what I am, no matter how I want to be. But you are so good. And I don't know what it is about you, but you're pure and you're special, and I will guard that with my life. If it is Malachi's fault that this has happened to you, then that makes you my responsibility. I know that there is no turning back on the truth. Even if you want to go back to your normal life, there's no closing your eyes to what you've already seen. Just know that I'll be there if you need me, when you need me. I won't keep you shut out. I'll be as close or as far as you want me to be. I don't know if telling you any of this has helped. I'm sure it has probably done just the opposite. I'm sorry. Come on, let's get you back home.